Newcastle's new CEO, David Hopkinson, spoke at length with Jim White, Alex Crook and Gabby Agbonlahor. They were up in Newcastle for the darts, which of course we'll get into a bit later. But so much to get into with what Hopkinson had to say. First, though, he doubled down on the idea that he wants Newcastle to be the top club in the world by 2030.
We'll have won the Premier League and the Champions League. Are we talking about that?
We are, but I think 10 years is too long. We have a high ambition here. We have a concrete plan. It's a 5-year plan. It takes us through 2030, and it has benchmarks along the way. A plan without a time frame attached to it is just a fantasy. It's just a dream. So we have a plan here. We have a strategy here. We're working on executing that every single day. But 10 years is too long. We got to think about how we are consistently contending for those top prizes within 5 years. 10 years, you walk at a certain pace. With 5 years, I already feel like we're burning daylight, and we need to get after this every
So
single
by
day.
2030, Newcastle United, this great club, will have been Premier League champions. That's what you're telling me?
That's our ambition.
Well, it's going to be a bloody exciting 4 or 5 years, isn't it? My word. I mean, there's ambition, Jack.
Yeah.
And there's being a bit fanciful, isn't there? I mean, is that realistic? Seriously, I mean, when you look at this season, for example, Newcastle picked up 5 points from the top 6.
Yeah, I know.
We've just seen them run over by Manchester City in a semi-final. We've just seen them battered by Liverpool. And that's to do with the fact that they are battling on 4 fronts this season. The squad is clearly not big enough or has enough quality to be able to cope with that. And he's saying in 4 or 5 years, they'll be the top club in the world and winning the Premier League.
Yeah, so to be honest, another statistic I thought was mental. I saw that we've put the most crosses in the Premier League and scored 1 goal.
Great stat.
So, I mean,
Great
that is
stat.
absolutely shocking as well. And the thing is now, they've said this for me, I'm going to judge every single thing they do on this. Because you could have maybe made it a bit less ambitious. I like the ambition, the idea of understand what they want to do. But I think putting it out there in public means that you're giving Newcastle fans an actual set deadline of right, by this point, this is going to happen. And I will now judge every single little thing they do on that. So what I want to see now is I need sponsorship deals. I want the training ground announced. I want something on the stadium. And then the transfer windows need to be, this summer needs to be an overhaul for me anyway. I think we're getting to the point where this squad has maybe hit past its peak. That's nothing against the players. They've given me the best times I've ever had as a Newcastle fan. They have delivered some incredible moments. But the best teams who want to win trophies, understand that it's time the cycle's over.
Do you like what Hopkinson said there, though? Do you like it? Or do you find it a bit frustrating?
Well, I think that I like the idea of, of course, the whole point of this takeover was that Newcastle were going to become one of the best clubs. But I think that by saying 2030, you're now essentially given everyone else and all of us as Newcastle fans something to actually look for. Newcastle fans are not stupid. They're not stupid. They will not take this sort of, because this could be seen as a bit of PR, really. They won't take it. So they will want results. They want action. As I was saying, if there's nothing on the training ground within the next year, there's nothing on the stadium within the next year, there's going to be some serious questions asked of David Hopkinson, despite all of his incredibly impressive CV.
Paul, what do you make of it?
It's very different in domestic sport here compared to domestic sport in America. If you take the Denver Broncos, for instance, they've gone from being a massively losing team last year to the AFC Championship game. These turnarounds are possible because of drafts, because of different ways of gaining talent and staff turnover. Football's different. Very, very different. It takes time. Sometimes you need players like Lewis Miley to come through and you don't sell them. You need to keep hold of your Elliot Andersons, for the long term, that kind of stuff. It's a very, very different climate that we have in soccer. Let's put it that way, because he is American. And
He's Canadian.
Well, sorry. I've made that mistake so many times. Anyway, when it comes to what he said, I applaud the positivity. But when it comes to it, I don't believe that we're going to get there by then.
No.
I think 10 years, from what he's saying, 10 years is just a little bit too far to be making these kind of predictions. But we are realistic football fans at Newcastle, and we've seen very, very good times. But we've never climbed the mountain in the Premier League. We've never climbed it in Europe from a Champions League perspective. So, yeah, I think we're going to remain realistic.
You said Newcastle United fans aren't stupid. I would just like to say I am. Right? I really like that. Or it's entirely fan service. It's well briefed. It's talking points that you've worked on with the club. Yeah. But I am a fan, and I do like to be serviced. And imagine if he came out and they were like, "So do you think Newcastle have got aspirations of winning like the top champions by 2030?" And he laughed and went, "Oh, buddy, absolutely not. We suck." Like, what would we be saying then? Like, he's got to come out and say,
in that
we've got
interview,
ambition.
Jim White gave him a chance. He said, Jim White said 10 years. And he went, no, 5 years.
Yeah, but if you
come
haven't
on.
got that, if you haven't got
It's not
ridiculous
realistic,
ambition, I know, of course it's probably not. I don't think we'll do it. But if you haven't got that ambition, if you're not willing to go on the journey, even if it is very pie in the sky and it's just some nice buzzwords said by someone who's in a job, then what we're doing it for?
No, again, but do you not think it puts now more scrutiny, as I say, on everything they do? Because, like, for example, the revenue, because this was another thing he talked about in the interview. He talked about now, well, that's his big thing. He's going to be all on the revenue, trying to get it all sorted. So where are all these sponsorship deals? Why isn't the training ground sponsored? Why don't we have a training ground kit sponsor? Why isn't even St James's Park sponsored? There were opportunities here to make money, and he's been in the job 5 months, it was. So there's already an opportunity for him to have done something. He hasn't actually done anything yet. And that's why I'm saying with this thing of 2030, you are just now setting a clear deadline of whereby fans can judge every single little thing you do and make their own decision on it.
What if he's right?
Well,
What if he's right?
I hope he is, but I need to see some evidence of it.
Happy day. If he's right,
But I need to see
great.
some evidence of it. You know, the training grounds up. All these things are things that need to happen. We need something. You can't come out and
Tangible.
say this and then not have any action to back it up. And that's where I'm at.
Need some evidence in the next 2
You need
years.
some
then.
evidence of it.
Look, like I say, I'm stupid, and if I get proved stupid over the back of this, then absolutely fine.
Yeah. In 5 years, we'll be
Great,
saying
fine.
you're the cleverest and
Well,
you always have been.
Well, it'd be incredible, wouldn't it?
It would be amazing. It would. But I think that point, Paul, about football being a completely different entity is absolutely right. Look, he's got experience working at Real Madrid as well, and or working with Real Madrid, of course. So he does know that kind of sphere. But even if you look at someone, a team like Arsenal, for example, look how long it's taken them. They still haven't won the Premier League, and their starting point, because of all the rules and because of the restrictions that Newcastle have placed on them, which isn't moaning, it's just a fact. They are in a more difficult starting position than Arsenal even are, and they haven't even won the league yet, and it's been a while. Yeah. So it is a bit of a way, and it's things like he was actually asked about the restrictions and PSR changing to SCR, and he just said, "Yeah, it's going to be tough, but we'll find a way around it."
Real Madrid is an easy sell. Arsenal is an easier sell these days. Newcastle, we have evidence from the last 9 months that Newcastle is a hard sell. All you've got to do is look at Benjamin Chesko. You look at loads of them.
There's a long
Cunha,
list.
Delap,
Even
Trafford,
Gabriel Bonloho said on talkSPORT, and I've confronted him about this on social media before, saying people would rather choose a London club than Newcastle United. At the time, I was visceral, saying, how dare you say that about my club? But the fact is, Gabby had a point. He had a point because people have chosen other teams over us. So this guy has got his work cut out to make sure that people see Newcastle as the right sell.
Yeah, and then that's why this season becomes even more important. Because if we don't get any European football, you're not only then going to struggle to start attracting the players that you want to certainly get to this 2030 aim, you're going to have a struggle keeping maybe the likes of a Tino Livramento, a Sandro Tonali, a Lewis Hall. Unfortunately, now, if you're putting this out there, every single little thing you do and every bad season you have has major ramifications going forward. Because as Paul said, Newcastle do sometimes struggle to attract players, rightly or wrongly. Footballers decide that's the way they want to go. So then every season that we have has to be good.